In 1972, Kerry Walton returned to his Australian hometown for his grandmother's funeral. During that time, he decided to face a childhood fear by visiting an abandoned building that had scared him for many years. He decided to crawl under the floorboards in the building, hoping to find some old antiques for his collectibles business. While exploring it with a flashlight, the light hit something sinister. It looked like a face. Mr. Walton thought that it was a corpse and got very afraid, but then he realized that it was just a doll. After Walton found the doll, the dilapidated house was suddenly pulled down and was demolished after standing for over 100 years. Walton feels as if the doll knew what was going to happen, so it directed his actions to take it out of there. After finding it, he put the doll in the trunk of his car and drove towards home. Kerry claims that as he drove along, he could hear something thumping about back in the trunk, as if there was someone in there trying to get out. Even more startling was when he says that he could distinctively hear a voice howl, "Let me out!" The next shock came when Walton arrived home and his normally quiet dog turned savage the moment he saw the doll. Even his own relatives told him that they felt repulsed by the figurine, the way its eyes are on you all the time, one of them stated. Walton's children played with the doll during the day, but when it was left in their room one night, they woke up screaming and he was forced to store the doll beneath the house inside a suitcase. And for nearly 5 years, that's where the doll remained, until Walton decided to take it to a museum in Sydney. According to experts, the doll was made about 200 years ago by a Romanian gypsy for his son who had drowned. The gypsies believed in spirit transference, and dolls would act as a new home for the dead. The doll has real human hair, and underneath the scalp is a likeness of a human brain. He was given the name Letta or Letta due to his European gypsy heritage, or because the doll occasionally screams, "Let me out." The history of the doll grew when several psychics provided more information about its background. A doll maker had carved this particular doll in the likeness of his young son, with exaggerations to the features, as all marionettes should have. His son had died by drowning at the age of 6. Dolls were strongly believed to be able to harbor a human soul after death, providing it with a new worldly home. His father, overcome with grief, fashioned a life-size figurine in readiness for the ceremony of soul transference. The doll still contains the soul of the little boy. It is not malicious or dark, but rather just that of a child who is confused and frightened. Learning the age and rarity of the object, Walton thought that it might generate a good price, and he advertised the doll for sale. When he received a generous offer, he loaded the doll into his vehicle in the rain and set out for the buyer's residence. But upon arriving, he couldn't get out of the car. Walton could not remove the doll from the car. It was glued to the seat. No matter how hard he tried to move it, he could not do it. Kerry was also told by a psychic that he will never be able to part with the doll ever. Nothing evil has been reported surrounding this doll in recent years. In fact, after finding the doll, Walton's luck changed for the better and his collectibles business began to boom. Still, some quirks surrounded Letta. It will rain whenever he's taken outside, and hanging pictures may fall off the wall when he enters a room. Dogs bark and attempt to attack whenever they're near Letta, and people have said that they feel inexplicably afraid and sad when they see him. Letta is also supposedly capable of moving on his own, changing positions when seated. Letta currently tours around Australia with Walton, sitting on the laps of those who are brave enough to take a picture with the grinning figurine. The doll, till date, remains in Kerry Walton's possession. Although still quite spooky, Kerry has gotten used to Letta and will never let it go for the fear of the misfortune that has been predicted by many psychics should he ever do so.